One of the things that keeps us hindered in not being able to have that simple life is not planning, not budgeting, and not following through with those plans and budgets. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Kendrick. Welcome to another episode of Talks with Ken. This is episode 10. This is the place where motivation lives, inspiration thrives, and personal growth resides. I'm so happy to see you all in the building today. Even with all this crazy stuff going on in the world around us, of course, here we focus on how we can, number one, feel personally and what kind of energy we can bring to those around us. So welcome. You know, it's been a crazy week, crazy 2 weeks. Before we get into our topic of today, I kind of just want to reiterate, we can only control the controllables, y'all. We can only control the controllables. And I don't want you guys to lose who you are with what's going on around the world and your community to make you feel a certain way. Raise anxiety levels, create a little bit more, anxiety within you and in your households. But again, we can only control what we can control. And then if some of that stuff starts to get on your nerves with what's going on with the war that we just now started, and then things of that nature, just unplug. Simply unplug. Do something that gets your mind right. Do something that makes you feel good on the inside. Play board games in the house when you got some spare time instead of pulling up your phone. Or you can tune in to me. But try to put some kind of positive energy in your body. Don't be a sponge for all that negativity that's going on in the news and on social media. Okay. In honorable mentions, what's going on with Epstein files, and I must say, it's just like when you learn new things. Once that veil is lifted, it can't go back to being unseen. And I hope and pray us as a community, us as a nation, can get a lot of the answers that we're seeking. And I hope that individuals not only say things that they're going to do, but we actually follow that through with action, whether that's outreach programs, coming together as a collective in the community to really try to bring about true change that we can see and that's viable in our day-to-day lives. So we'll probably get into that, but I did want to at least say, keep your minds positive by all means, and don't let all this crazy chaos take you away from your goals and what you're trying to do in your life. All right. And with that being said, today I want us to talk about this very thing. Simplicity is key. Simplicity in your life is key. I want to go in and say, the more simplified your life is, it's easier to be happy with what is free. It's easier to be happy with the smaller things in life. One of the things that we typically get into in our lives is trying to strive to go upward. And then we kind of misconstrue that with, we got to buy the next shiny object. We got to buy the biggest house. We got to buy the nicest car. We got to get the flashiest clothes. We got to have the nicest smelling cologne. We got to have the import, whatever. Those things are nice when it's a very small portion of your net worth, or it doesn't cause you to sacrifice the whole entire family. So one of those things is we start to fall in love with the lifestyle creep. And when we fall in love with that lifestyle creep, we bring a lot of things into our lives, into our experience that we hope and wish that was for us. But then we get railroaded off of the plan that we've envisioned for our lives because we brought a lot of unnecessary clutter by way of higher car payments, higher house payments, and things of that nature. When I'm talking about simplicity, that's simplicity in every form. How do we first find that simplicity that we're missing in our day-to-day life? It's a lot harder right now in this modern world because we have everything pulling at us. What I've come to understand is that living a balanced life in this modern day time is the key to simplicity. And it's funny because I know last year, me and my wife, one of the words that she brought up was like, I'm looking for more balance. And then this year, it was her word and mine was looking for more, simplicity. And with that, I found out that having a simplified life means creating a plan that you don't deviate from, like really crafting out that plan with your spouse or yourself that you do not deviate from. And one of the examples that I gave last week or 2 weeks ago is when someone is saying, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out, they stick to it. No questions asked. And that's where that simpleness comes from in life. I always tell my boys, me as the head of the household, when it's a boring life, meaning in the house, in between these four walls that me and my wife have, created, that means if there's a problem that arises, it's just a problem or inconvenience. It's not a life-shattering event because we've taken the precautionary steps to make sure that doesn't change how we operate in the day-to-day. So, what that looks like is very boring. It looks like I'm using finances when I'm trying to illustrate this, y'all. But it looks like putting $50, $100 away each week, a couple $100 away each month. And then, a year goes by, it's like, well, we really didn't have to go into that emergency fund, or we didn't have to go, into that vacation fund. And then that just gives us a bigger buffer from life. And with us having those simple goals and those simple parameters in which we have created together, that's a easy, simplified life. We don't have to go outside of it. If someone says, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z with us? Hey, can you go on a vacation with us? And we look and we say, okay, we got this plan for this month. We got this plan for this month. It's an easy yes or it's an easy no based off the parameters that we've set. We do not try to go outside of our goals at all. If it's not a part of our original plan, we really don't deviate from it. And so we take all the emotions out of it. And that's everything in our life. Going to the store every week. We have a budget set. So we craft out the grocery list. We go into the store. We might get one or two things, and we do have that 15%, quote unquote, 15% overage that's built into our grocery list. So that's a lot of the want items that we see if we go in there like we don't supposed to on an empty stomach and we see stuff that we want, and we can add stuff to it. And it still doesn't deviate from our budget because we have that built in. A lot of the stuff in life, when it's simple, it's kind of boring, but what happens is slowly, as I mentioned before, slowly you will find yourself above survival. And I say that's financially, but once you're above the portion of having all your mental space consumed by we're gonna pay this bill. Is this bill gonna be paid on time? Is this credit card gonna be paid off on time? Is this child care, this after school program going to be paid on time? Stuff of that nature. Once you get that out of your mind by the guidelines you set forth year after year, month after month, whatever it is, you start to get a buffer in between you and life. And then life, you can enjoy the sunsets, you can enjoy the sunrises, you can enjoy the moon over the lake or over the pond. You can enjoy all of that for its fullness because you start to dream again. A lot of us are building our own prison. Mentally, we're building our own prison. And so it's like, just because you have it, meaning the funds to be able to go and buy it, it doesn't mean that you need to buy it. Just because that bank says that you're approved for $2 million, it don't mean that you need to go and find a house that's $2 million. Sometimes when we find that friction point to where we're finally smooth now, we're good now, we want to go and just throw a wrench in it because we can, right? And then complain about what happened to us. So when we're talking about simplicity, at its core, it's setting some guidelines and rules that you follow, and you don't deviate from them. And that's it. Same thing with your interpersonal relationships. If you're giving it your all towards a certain individual and they're not showing that same effort towards you, cut it. That's something that you should have with yourself. Like, look, I'm going to be this type of person. I'm going to give this type of energy. And if that's not giving back, because you're a simple life, you can be like, you know what? I'm just going to move forward. No hard feelings. It's just I love me enough and I'm going to go ahead and proceed with me. Simple. Those simple lives, it's so simple. One of the things that keeps us hindered in not being able to have that simple life is not planning, not budgeting, and not following through with those plans and budgets. Easy as that. And basically, those of us in the United States, knowing that the consumption rate has to be upwards of 70 to 73%, I believe that's where it is. We're constantly bombarded with what do we do with these extra funds that we have? What do we need to buy with these extra funds that we have? What do we need to go with these extra funds that we have? What type of events we can get our kids in? What kind of things we can buy for our kids? What kind of things that we can buy for ourselves? What kind of toys and all that kind of stuff? So and to you that has it, go ahead. Go ahead. Have fun with it. But if it's not a small portion of your weekly or monthly take home pay, you might need to question it. Because some of those things that we feel that are for us in the short term have big, big ramifications later on. And I was just having this conversation not too long ago with my wife um, about uh, being able to craft out the life that you want. When you live a simplified life and live by a plan, live by a budget for so long, and then you start to see those, excess funds start to accumulate, you can start to mold and create that type of life. Just an example. I remember the younger me, I was like, man, I don't really see where everybody got this extra funds and stuff for. But man, we was going out buying whatever we wanted to buy, kind of living like that, 20s, just living like that. And early 30s, I think. But when we decide to live on plan, add more structure, we start to see excess. Nah, I wasn't no millionaire, nothing like that. But we just start to see excess and we start to be able to craft and mold things to our liking. Not just because we had to. This is stuff that we wanted to. So you got to first tell yourself no. Now we don't need that. Want versus need. Side note, I want to put a challenge out there to you. And this is how you get above survival. It's going to be boring now. It's going to be boring, but I want you guys to try it. Try not to spend anything for 3 months other than your needs. Buy only your needs. Set aside a budget for your grocery, for your gas. I might let you throw 1 or 2 outings in there, but see how you can go or operate without buying your wants. You come back to me in 3 months and you tell me, wow, I didn't know I was wasting that much money. Now I can buy that camera that I've always wanted to buy to create my own blog or take photos, become a photographer, whatever. You got to prove that to yourself. Once you prove to yourself that you can listen to yourself and you can follow through, trust me, your life will change. It will change it. And I ain't even talking about in the pockets. It's talking more of the mentality. You will find out. And y'all, to be honest, it could be me just getting older. Because now I'm over 40 and it's like, man, look at all the time I done wasted. Look at all the things that I bought that I didn't really need. Um, it's just a lot. It's just a lot of time wasting activity. It's a lot of frustration that we really brought upon ourselves. It was all self-imposed because we can't tell ourselves no. We should be able to just tell ourselves no. But as I look back in retrospect, as what I'm doing to y'all, talking to you as a friend, talking to you as a colleague, talking to you as a associate, brother, uncle, whatever. Just don't want you to fall in that big old trap, man. Just don't fall into that big old trap. Because as I'm 40, I love the simple things. I love what they call in Japan a forest bathing. All it is just a long, slow walk through the forest, just enjoying it in its fullness. It sounds boring, yeah. I mean, it sounded boring when I was younger too. I get it, but as I get older, a lot of the things that I love is simple. I mean, I buy clothes when I have to buy clothes, for certain events. I don't just hoard them or just buy them because I want them. I don't really have anything that I don't buy excess. Do I like to look good? Yeah, I do. And then when I go out and buy it, it's cheap. I ain't got nobody to impress. It is cheap, so it's simple in that approach too. Me and my wife, we live on a budget. Now, when I say live on a budget, we'll give ourselves a weekly stipend, or we'll give ourselves a weekly allowance that's non-negotiable. And what we do, if it's something, if we want something big, we'll save it until it piles up, and then we go and buy that, whatever that is. No questions asked. It's very simple how we have constructed our day to day. We all the emotions are taken out of it. It's like it's an easy yes or it's an easy no. And so I want you guys to embark kind of on that the simple life. Find the joy in life without the necessary or the need to spend money. Enjoy conversations with others. Enjoy long phone calls like we did back in the 90s with your friends. Maybe pop up on somebody, do house visits. Or maybe you might want to call. You might want to call first, and just have good conversations. Matter of fact, I got something that I need to get together, get lined up myself. Enjoy just sitting on the back porch, sitting on the front porch. Old time conversation. Unplug a little bit. Pick up a book in the morning. Pick up a magazine. I don't know if they got newspapers or whatever, but pick up a newspaper like that too. Just the simple stuff. I'm probably preaching to a brick wall. I'm just being real, but like my son, and I know it can be done. My son, uh, and his buddies 2-3 weeks ago, they went on a 15. Now it went on 2 weeks ago. It was like a week ago. My youngest son went on a 15-mile hike with his buddies. Boy, me and my wife, we loved it. We loved it. I mean, unabated by us. He just said, "Hey, we're gonna go on a hike." Blah blah blah. They did it. He had fun with it, and that done our heart well. He was out forest bathing or hiking with his friends, had good conversation. They created memories. That's a simple life. Like when we went back to COVID time, there was a lot of badness that went on in the world, a lot of deaths and a lot of catastrophe on that end. But man, it was like going back in a time warp. We enjoyed board games. We enjoyed. We always sit at the table with my family, but we enjoyed long dinners with each other. We enjoyed time on the porch, time in the backyard. We even talked to our neighbors, probably the most we've ever talked to our neighbors. Not that it was a bad thing, but we had that time. It wasn't like we were passing by, and it was all simple. So sometimes I think that we lose sight of how simplicity in life can bring about more growth, more love, more compassion for one ourselves and those around us. I've been talking enough on this topic, y'all. I think that's the core essence of life. If you can have fun sitting in your own house or sitting in a house of a loved one without the distraction of your phone, without the need for money, you are getting to know the core essence and the truth of that joy in life. And I really believe that to be true. And guys, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys heard what I said today or listened and put those things into action. And as I said, I'm challenging you to only purchase or only buy what is a need for 3 months. For 3 months. And I promise you, you will come back and say, wow, I did it. I loved it. I liked every bit of it. Now I'm going to see if I can do it for 3 more months. Okay? All right. Until our next conversation, this is your boy Ken checking out. Peace.